Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Hobby Evolution, episode 911. Wasn't Shatner in a show? Rescue 911. Rescue 911. I remember that show back, what was that, early 90s? Wow. That's like a long forgotten show. I'm a sucker for old, and when I mean old, 90s, and I know that's not old to some. It's really old to some. It's vintage to some. It's old to me, which tells you, I guess I'm old. Not quite as old to others. Anyway, I'm a sucker for like 80s and 90s sitcoms that didn't last, right? Those that I remember watching. Whoops was one of my favorites. It was on the Fox network. I think it was in the Sunday night lineup. I loved Fox Sunday nights. It was perfect for like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. If your parents allowed you to watch Fox, Whoops was a good one. Parker Lewis Can't Lose. That show lasted a little longer than Whoops only lasted like 6 episodes. Babes, I think that was part of either the Fox Thursday and Fox Sunday were great because I think The Simpsons were on like the Thursday block. And then Sunday you had Married with Children, In Living Color, True Colors. I think that started off. I was not a True Colors fan. I loved In Living Color. Then you had Married with Children. I think The Simpsons ended up going to Fox later on in their run. But I love old shows that, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. There's a lot of the free apps, if you have a smart TV, have some of these old shows. Crackle is one I just discovered. Crackle has a lot of like shows I'd never heard from like the 80s because that like predates. I was an 80s kid, but I don't remember watching much TV. Like I don't remember sitcoms outside of TGIF and like the main like Cheers, Cosby Show, like the ones that were always on or ended up in syndication. I remember those, but I don't remember like the rando. There was one with I remember Bosom Buddies because I watched that later in syndication. But there was one with I was just talking about it, Jason Bateman, I think. So I was watching that on Crackle. So yeah, I'm a sucker for those, and I'll be watching. If I'm upstairs, my wife walks in and she's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "I'm a sucker for old sitcoms." Rescue 911. I haven't seen that on any of the streaming platforms though, but I that's one I remember, and I think Rescue 911 was on CBS, which back in the day, CBS, at least when I was growing up, CBS sucked because it was like a bunch of like old people shows. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Like there was just shitty shows on CBS. CBS had like, nobody watches CBS. Fox was it. Fox was king, especially to a kid because it was like the cool shows. And of course, ABC because they had TGIF with Full House and Perfect Strangers. And then later on, Boy Meets World, Sabrina, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. That was a favorite. So anyway, love those shitty 90s sitcoms. Happy Monday. We've got Todd. Good morning. Harlan in the house. Scott is here. Christian, good morning. George, what's happening? Donald Davis, good morning to you. He says hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alex, good morning. Zach and Porter in the house. T206 kid liked Step by Step. That's one that I watch because it's on like the main street. It's like on Hulu, I think. So Step by Step, I love Step by Step. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I was sorting. I think it was my Goodwill palette was going through the Goodwill palette. I fired up Step by Step on Hulu. I'd like to watch Boy Meets World because I listen to the podcast that they do. Topanga, Eric, and Sean, the character names from Boy Meets World, they They do a podcast. It's awesome. I love it. If you like Boy Meets World, you'll love the podcast. But Boy Meets World is only streaming on like Disney, and that's like the only thing I don't pay for is term. Remember, I'm couch people. Couch people like TV. We have every freaking streaming platform known to man, except for Disney. And so I'm not gonna shell out another $5 or $10 a month to watch Boy Meets World reruns. Scott says, does cooking with Beau end with a 911 call because the house is on fire? Funny you mentioned that. I found an old radio CD. So when I worked mornings at K100 Macomb, cooking with Beau was a segment. And I've shared my cooking with Beau, but in the music that opened up the show, and we aired Cooking with Beau on Thursdays. Which, when did Cooking with Beau run? Probably 2000. I can tell you. I started there in April of 2003. And the genesis of the radio show Cooking with Beau was from Easter of 2004, because I couldn't remember what you called deviled eggs. And so I was explaining what I was trying to talk about, because I think the topic was on the morning show the Monday after Easter, the day after Easter, was, what do you do with your colored eggs when you paint the eggs? And so people called in and, I do this, I do that. And I'm like, I like making the eggs, when you cut them in half and take the insides out. I think I called it the yellow stuff. You take the yellow stuff out, and then you sprinkle and then you put some Miracle Whip, and then you sprinkle the red stuff. Because I couldn't remember paprika, yolk. And of course, I couldn't remember the name of deviled eggs. And so my co-host was the straight man, and he goes, do you mean deviled eggs? Yes, that's what I meant. So then he issued a challenge for me. And he said, I challenge you to actually make deviled eggs, because, I couldn't even remember the name, let alone make them. And he goes, how about I'll give you, because this was Monday morning, he goes, I'll give you until Thursday. You make them, and Thursday morning you bring them in. So I did. They actually turned out pretty good. And the segment was a hit. And so somebody called in and they're like, I challenge Beau to make this recipe. And so my co-host says, okay, well, you have a week to prepare. Next Thursday, bring this dish in. And then all of a sudden, everybody's sending in recipes, and I'm making, and some turned out good. Some turned out okay. Many turned out not good. So when it got pretty popular, there was actually I think we had a smoke smell in our studios. And I think it was just from like the light ballasts or something. And so there was a call into the fire department, like, hey, we've got smoke in the K100 studios. And so I don't know how this happened. I don't know if we were able to sweet talk recording out of the county. Probably not. I don't think they would do that, right? Or if we recorded it off the scanner. I think we recorded off the scanner, like fire at K100 studios, smoke in the building. So we actually used that. I'll try to dig up the audio. I'm sure my co-host, because he like recorded. You think I save everything, man? Chris saved everything. He had every single recording of our morning show, and then he donated it later on to the local museum. I don't know why they wanted it. But that was our intro, K100 studio. And then, of course, to the background music of the Bloodhound Gang, The Roof is on Fire. So that was the intro to Cooking with Beau eventually. Does Cooking with Beau end with a 911 call? The Hogan Family. That was a good one. That's not the show. I remember watching that show. There was a show that predated Hogan Family from like 1983, maybe. Jason Bateman. Let's just look up his filmography. Hogan Family's a good one. That was one that I grew up with. Let's see. So he made his debut on Little House on the Prairie. Okay, let's see. Television. It was like and I don't even know if it lasted a season. Where's his filmography? Filmography. Awards. Filmography. Where's the filmography? Oh, Jason Bateman. He's got his own page. It's too long for his normal page. Film. Television. It's Your Move. That's the name of the show. It's Your Move. 18 episodes aired between 1984 and 1985. It's Your Move is an American sitcom television series starring Jason Bateman, Trisha Cast, Karen Kay, Ernie Sabella, David Garrison, who you may know from Married with Children, and Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live. The show aired on NBC from September 26th, 1984 to February 23rd, 1985. The show centered on Jason Bateman's character, a teenage scam artist who lived in Van Nuys, California, with his older sister, Julie, and widowed mother, Eileen. Matt ran various underhanded dealings with his high school friends, especially sidekick Eli, such as selling pre-written term papers and exam answer keys, and even engaging in blackmail. So David Garrison was the neighbor. He was the neighbor. And then he eventually dated Jason Bateman's mom on the show. So there you go. It's Your Move with Jason Bateman, mid-'80s. Where we at? Grinding for Good. What's happening? Happy Monday to you. Good morning, Mark Marinello. Paul, what's happening? Get to watch on this fake holiday. That is very uncalled for. It is Juneteenth, which is now a federal holiday. Not fake at all. That's very inappropriate. It's Juneteenth. It's celebrating the end of slavery. So a very important holiday. We actually had Juneteenth celebrations in Macomb. And then I think it became a federal holiday a couple years ago. So let's see. Good morning, card hobbyist. Valerie predated Hogan Family. Valerie was actually Valerie in Hogan Family. It wasn't a spinoff. It was the same show, just renamed, because wasn't Valerie? She went, I think there was like a contract dispute because Valerie was the mom. And then there was a contract dispute. So they killed her off the show, renamed it Hogan Family. And what's her name? Sandy came in. And she was, I think, the aunt. Sandy was the aunt and played the mother role. Sandy, what the hell was her name? Sandy Duncan. Sandy Duncan. And Valerie Harper was the lady that was named after originally. Chris says, great division matchup. Cubs-Pirates 3-game series starts today. Pirates have lost 6 in a row, including a sweep by the Cubs. Cubs are in favor to win with the pitching matchups. Go Cubs! Yes, Cubs are on a roll. They did lose yesterday. Cubs are on a roll. Where are we at how's the National League looking this morning? National League. We've got Milwaukee in first place in the Central, 3 games above 500. So the Brewers swept the Pirates. I wanted them to beat up on each other to let the Cubs game. Cubs are still in 4th place. They are 4 games out of first. They've won 7 out of the last 10 games. How about the Reds? They're red hot. They've won 8 out of their last 10. They're now 2 games above 500, a half game behind the Brewers. Pirates have dropped now to 2.5 games out. They are 2 games below 500. Cubs 5 games below 500, but again, they've won 7 out of their last 10, so they're kind of hot. Pirates have lost their last 6. Cardinals, 8.5 out. They are 29-43. So let's look at the how's the wild card race shaping up. So the Angels now, oh wait, that's American League. Wild card. There we go. Giants and Marlins currently hold the 2 wild card spots. Braves, Diamondbacks, Brewers are the division leaders. Of course, it's only June 19th. Where are we at? Contract dispute with Valerie Harper. Let's see. Where are we at? The show my wife watches all the time is The Golden Girls. I don't know what it is with women in their 30s today with that show. Hey, my wife is the same thing. I fall asleep to Friends, and then usually my wife loves Friends, and so if it's on, she'll like kind of be engaged. But if it's The Golden Girls, it's just she can fall asleep to The Golden Girls, but she loves The Golden Girls. I don't get it. But yeah, my wife is the same thing. It's just it's just this weird thing. And like I don't mind it. It's not like I dislike it. Like if I walked into the room and The Golden Girls was on and I just wanted to hit the couch, I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch The Golden Girls. But if my wife has like Harry Potter on, I'm out. I'm done. Because that's like my wife's napping background is Harry Potter. So I know when Harry Potter's on, that means my wife's going to settle in for a nap. Hall of Fame card collector, good morning to you. Dan, good morning. Hit that like button, he says. After the label printer, scanner, Goodwill pallets, and Card Dealer Pro, can you imagine what might be your next game changer? A part-time employee. That would be my next game changer. Kevin says, my wife loves Golden Girls. At first, I refused to watch it. After a few shows, I understood why she liked it. I remember it back in the day, but I don't think I ever watched it while it aired, live. But it was on in syndication, in the late 80s, early 90s. But it's like when you're 10, you don't really understand some of the adult themed shows. So it was like, oh, haha, there's some funny jokes that kids could understand. But for the most part, it was just kind of like background for me. Peace out, Pat. What's happening? He says, literally one of the only important holidays, respect. Yes, I agree with that. Juneteenth is definitely one of the most important holidays. Highly uncalled for to call it a fake holiday. John says Christmas is actually a fake holiday. Yeah, let's not get into holiday talk. But yeah, respect the holiday that it is today. Let's see. All the ones we think of usually are so distorted and corporate nowadays. Hey, there's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of Hallmark out. Valentine's Day, give me a freaking break. Valentine's Day. And Father's Day, Mother's Day. We're coming off Father's Day. Come on. Father's Day, Mother's Day. Yeah, we should probably celebrate them every day. Do they need a holiday? So yeah, totally agree. We've got 4th of July coming up. That's a legit holiday. Let's see. Mark says, Sandy Duncan, my Mets are tied with your Cubbies and falling fast. I don't know where. I had some conversations over the weekend at the Madison Card Show regarding the Cubs and, now as we're approaching, a month, 5 weeks away from the trade deadline, it's like, what are the Cubs going to do? And it's this tough spot. I don't envy anybody in the front office that has to make these decisions on, are we buyers? Are we sellers? Are we standing pat? Because you don't want to risk the farm. If the team's not built for a long playoff run, you don't want to go trade your top prospects for rentals or other guys that may not help in the future when you've got guys that, potential trade chips. But at the same time, like for the Cubs in the outfield, you've got guys locked up in long-term deals. Seiya Suzuki, Seiya Suzuki, and Ian Happ, and then center field's not. You've got Bellinger on. This is his final year, but you've got a guy in Pete Crow Armstrong that is probably going to be ready next year. So it's almost a bridge. Bellinger was Bellinger Bridge. So what do and if the Cubs are still like wallowing in that third place, 4 games out of the division, 4 or 5 games out of the wild card, and it comes trade deadline time, what do you do? I think in this case, the Cubs have to stand pat. Maybe add, somebody, a low risk addition that could help the team, but it's like, what are you going to dangle for that commodity you're looking for? That's the tough choices that will have to be made. So I think the Cubs will stand pat. I don't think they're going to be buyers, and I don't think they're going to be sellers, unless something crazy happens in the next 5 weeks, whether they go off on if they continue winning 70% of their games, I think they'll be buyers. If they all of a sudden go into a stretch where they lose 70% of the games, they might dump off Kyle Hendricks, Cody Bellingers, some of the guys that they can at least get a lottery ticket prospect for. Nothing, they're not going to get any top prospects for those guys, but you might get somebody that has potential. So that's my thought. As it is, if it continues to be the current status, and not in terms of where they've won their last 7 games, 7 of their last 10 games. But if they continue their current record, if they continue to be in third place, 4 games out of the division, if that track continues through into late July, I think they're just going to stand pat. But if they continue winning 70% of their games in the next 5 weeks, they might be buyers. Good morning. Shane Koopman's in the house. Where are we at? Mark Marinello says, Anthony will be finishing the basement in the NL East soon. Good morning, Talking Tatis. Had a table at a horrible card show in Bend this weekend. Maybe 6 dealers, less than 30 attendees. I bought 18 4,000 count boxes, baseball, football, basketball for $200 from a dealer quitting. And there you go. It wasn't a horrible card show because you got a good deal as a buyer. And that, my friends, it may be a horrible card show as a seller and attendance might be down, but what happens in those cases? You might be able to find yourself a really good deal. And Talking Tatis did just that. Bend, I assume, Oregon. And I know this is brought up, it's constantly brought up. How come the Nationals not on the West Coast? John Keating will say, go to cardshowmap.com and look at west of the Mississippi River and look at all the card shows that are east of the Mississippi compared to the west of the Mississippi. There's your answer right there. And I know you could argue, well, Anaheim 35 years ago, the Burbank show is big. Burbank can be like the West Coast National. Everybody complains about corporate anyway. The Burbank card show is basically the National. It's like Dallas. Dallas and Burbank are like the National without corporate. And everybody complains about all the corporate sponsors at the National. So there you go. You've got your West Coast National. Burbank, California. I think their next show's Labor Day weekend. Go there and treat that as your National. But that sucks. 6 dealers and 30 attendees. That's a pretty bad show. What's Bend, Oregon? I'm on Wikipedia still. Let's check out Bend, Oregon. What's the demo of Bend? Oh, Bend, O-R. Bend, Oregon. So it's got about 100,000 people in the city of Bend. I don't know what they're like, what the metropolitan area is like, but so over 100,000, you would think you'd have a better turnout. Was there other shows in that area? Man, that's terrible. Was it promoted? Man. Zach and Porter said, John said Christmas is a fake holiday. Why? I answered because John is an angry person. Where are we at? Kyle says, good morning, Beau. My wife loves Golden Girls as it was her grandma's favorite show, so it's a sentimental show for many women. And I think that's similar to my wife growing up. That was kind of like her. I don't know if she fell asleep to it as a kid. I think she did. I think that was, and it might have been because it was on in syndication at bedtime, maybe. So I think that's a similar thing. I don't know. I don't think with my wife, it was either of her grandmas, because they were living in Pittsburgh and she was, for the most part, here in Madison. So I think it was where it was on the TV schedule. Mark says opening day should be a holiday. Good morning. Happy Monday, Johnny Boy Cards. John says, I observe Olive Garden Day each Friday. Endless breadsticks. Is it endless bread? Is that what it is? Endless breadsticks. John says, Cubs aren't going anywhere. No reason to trade. And I pretty much agree with that, because even if they do make a run and get to the playoffs, it's going to be a short. I don't see this team having any type of staying power in the postseason. And I think now, at the beginning preseason, I said, the Cubs are going to win 84 games and they're going to take the second wild card. Now, if the Cubs make the playoffs, I don't think it's going to be the second wild card. I think it's going to be the division. It's that bad. The National League Central is just that bad. I think every team is still, even the Cardinals, who are what? Man, they're like 13 games out of 13 games below 500. I think even the Cardinals have a chance. I think here we are, June 19th, every single team in the division in the National League Central still has a chance to win the division. Teams trading to make the wild card remind me of flippers. But go look at the success wild card teams have had in the last 10 years. I don't know what it is, but I think I think wild card teams have been pretty successful in the postseason. Let's see. Good morning, Paige and Deanie Bean. Dan says, what was the Packers buzz at the Madison Card Show? 0. Zip. Zilch. There was no buzz, at least from what I overheard, and nothing. 0. Zip. Zilch. Nada. I did not hear a single thing about the Packers, which is really surprising because usually by this time, football's starting to heat up, especially here in Wisconsin with the Packers. I heard nothing on the Packers. Talking Tati says, my apologies. It was a horrible seller show. My best buying show. There you go. John says, Dallas has moved corporate onto the floor. Indicative of losing tables or pushing dealers aside. Either isn't a good look. Mark McGlynn, what's happening? Mark says, we have the East Coast National in White Plains, New York every summer. No corporate as well, just lots of good stuff. Shane says, if you have not already, can you post a pic on Hobby Evolution of your business card to see when all your shows are coming up? As soon as I get them in, yes. I haven't created the new cards because I've got a trash bag next to me of my old cards. These are all going in the recycle bin because June 17th was the last date on those shows. So I just got contracts for the final 3 months, the end of last week. So I actually have to change my December date. I was talking with Matt, who runs the Green Bay show. He was kind of up in the air on his December date. The Sheraton on John Nolan Drive is very, and I say this and I'm probably sticking my foot in my mouth. I'm going to reach out to them today and be like, hey, I got to switch my date. Oh, sorry. That's the only date we have booked. So we'll see. So I'm changing my December date. So hopefully I can get that. Hopefully that won't be a big deal. And then I can get those printed And hopefully in a week or so, I'll have the new cards. Definitely for the July 22nd show. Madison Card Show, July 22nd. I told a lot of people, and I've mentioned it here on the show, that the July show has been the last couple of years has been really good for people, for dealers selling, because there's been buyers, and it's not like a ton of buyers are coming in, but it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the attendees are spending probably 85 or 90% of, so I guess it's the 85-15, kind of like the burger meat my wife gets, 85-15. 85% of the money is coming from 15% of the people walking the floor at the July show. I think that's about what it's been the last couple of years. So it's few dealers spending most of the money gearing up for the National, because the Saturday, July 22nd Madison Card Show is just before the National this year. And I saw this last year. Like, I had multiple dealers comment, they're like, man, this is the best show I've ever done. I sold half my table. And it came from the same few people that were walking the floor. They were taking their stuff out to Atlantic City last year to the National. They needed additional currency to flip at the National. Now the National's 2 hours down the road in Rosemont this year, and I hope, fingers crossed, it's the same as what we saw the last 2 years. So Saturday, July 22nd is the next Madison Card Show. Then it's August 26th, I think, September 30th, October 28th, November 25th, and then TBA on December. I don't want to name the date just yet, because I'm going to change. I have a contract for a date, which I'm going to change it. So, but I don't want to say, hey, I'm changing it to this date, and then when I reach out to the hotel, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, because that's happened before. Would you ever want the Madison Card Show to ever be as large as the Dallas Card Show? No, I would not. I'm pretty content. I could handle the only thing I just don't have. There's venues. There's a venue across the street from the Sheraton Hotel, just down Rimrock Road, the Alliant Energy Center, and it's crazy ass expensive. And you would have to charge, like, it would have to be on the level of the Dallas Card Show, and I just don't want to take that risk, because what I have at the Madison Card Show, 125, had 140 at the April show. If I had a bigger space to do a show, I'd probably be comfortable with a 200 table show, but nothing near a Dallas card. Would not want to do that. And I just don't want the headaches that come with all of that, because I can run the Madison Card Show by myself. And I don't want to have a workforce behind me to pull off something like that. Talking Tatis says, outdoor people, not card people in Bend. Hoodies, collectibles only promoted in store. They said they had no money to promote. Well, get what you pay for. $50 table, my last one as a dealer. I will go back looking for deals. Yep, that's just bad on. That's not a. I mean, if you're gonna run a card show, like, run it right. And you don't really have to spend, in all honesty, you don't have to spend a lot of money to promote. I mean, even $100, drop $100 on Facebook ads. The Beckett, and I'm sure I hope they would be doing the Beckett calendar and Sports Collectors Daily and everything else. Social media, try to pump it. That's disappointing. James, what's up? Lots of people were looking for Jordan Love, he said. Okay. Cooter, good morning. How was everyone's sales this weekend? I was very surprised and happy with the weekend. So all of my customers were shopping Flipping Sports Guys eBay store this weekend. Mine sucked. My Saturday on eBay was the lowest sales I've had since I was on break at spring training in March. Worst sales day since March, when I was not even working, doing cards. Yesterday wasn't much. Sunday wasn't much better. So Saturday, I didn't even hit 50% of my sales goal. Yesterday, I was at, what's the math on that? 60%, 55 or 60%, about 60% of my sales goal. My June is still tracking. Now, if I have continued days like that, my June will not track. But my June, as of like Saturday or Sunday, was tracking to be my second best sales month overall of 2023. But and I don't see like this. I mean, you go back through my history, and these are anomalies where it usually writes itself. I also didn't list mini cards after, like, say, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. So I wasn't listing much. So, I mean, most of it's my own. Saturday, I didn't, in another reason that affected my Saturday sales, I did not send out any offers. I did not respond to any offers on Saturday. So that obviously affects your sales as well. Let's see. Shane says, my sales this weekend sucked. Glad I had that show on Saturday to make up for it. Flipping Sports Guy says, my weekdays were absolutely horrendous. All the weekend did was bring me to the weekly goal. So, and mine was the opposite. My week was awesome. Monday, I was well above my daily goal. Tuesday, I was even better. Wednesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it really dropped. So did I meet I don't know if I met my weekly goal. For the 7 days. Let's do some math here. Son of a. Okay. So where are we at? Tuesday. So Monday, Tuesday last week were awesome. Now I have 164 auctions ending tonight. I have 16 bids, which is going in. I set low expectations. Like, my floor of expectations was 16 bids, 16 items sell out of 164. And so far, that's where we're at. And I thought 3 of those 16 would be above the 99-cent opening bid. Okay. I fell short of my weekly sales goal. I did fall short. It was close, but it was short. And currently I do have 3, I think, that are selling above the bids. The high bid is above the opening 99-cent bid. So check out my eBay store. I've got 164 auctions. Now, the auctions, and I can't be disappointed really because it's basically $1.50 cards. So in a lot of these, I basically, I have 17 bids now. So hey, but again, they're basically 99. I mean, they're basically quarter cards. I'm surprised that some have bids. I've got a couple bids on 1993 Columbus Clippers minor league cards, Kurt Ojala and Russ Davis. My first Bowman Chrome Auto, Jeff Criswell of the Oakland A's, is currently at $1.25 with free shipping. The Freddie Freeman saddlebags are currently at $1.29. Hedbert Perez Black, numbered to 50, is at $2.72. Mike Shaurin, 2018 Bowman Chrome Auto, is at $1.25. And I think everything else. I've got a Henry Davis Topps Heritage Miners Blue, numbered out of 99. I think he just got called up. That just received a bid within the last hour. It's at 99 cents free shipping. So auctions blow, man. Auctions suck. I would highly recommend not doing auctions, but these auctions are, with the exception of like the Henry Davis and a couple of the autos, normally I would just do buy it now, $5 buy it now. So we'll see. So I don't mind if some of these sell 99 cents free shipping. Yeah, I lose a dime, 15 cents. Hopefully the same bidder is bidding on those Columbus Clippers cards and, selling 2 of them, 99 cents free shipping. I'll actually be in the black. Let's see. Flipping Sports Guy says, any tips on smoke smell? Got a flat rate box of cards that smells just horrible. I think it'll eventually come out. Make sure it's stored in I don't know. I should know because I grew up with parents that smoked like freaking chimneys. But I don't know. Every once in a while I'll get like a box and I can tell there's been smoke. But I just like set it aside and I think eventually it goes away. I wouldn't want to like have them. I wouldn't want to flip them if they smelled like smoke. So hopefully it's not something you want to flip real quick. C&M Collectibles, my Saturday was the worst day since early December. Interesting. So it's not just an anomaly for me. So C&M had a terrible Saturday. John says, just experienced a high Beau will never enjoy. Walking out of the hardware store with a pair of bolt cutters. Shane says that's not a high I would enjoy either. Yeah, that's you have your high of walking out of the hardware store. And when you say hardware store, is it like your local mom and pop store or is it like Menards? Like I don't use the term hardware store because I don't go to hardware stores. But if I needed bolt cutters, why do you need bolt cutters? Were you breaking into things? He's a repo. John is now a repo man. He's moonlighting as a repo man. I would just go to Menards. So I would say Menards or Home Depot. Those are the two hardware stores. I do call it a grocery store, though. I heard that was an outdated term. I don't know where I heard that. I don't know if it's on TV or YouTube or whatever, but grocery store. That's what I call it. The grocery store. I don't say like the grocery store that I went to yesterday. I'm shocked at how high some grocery prices are. And I was talking about this with my wife last night. I'm like her. And the other reason I wanted a steak instead of burgers, she's been buying the 8515 organic beef. And for some reason, I don't like it. And I told her, I'm like, I don't like it. And she's like, because it's healthy. There's not a bunch of preservatives in it. And I'm like, probably. So her organic burger meat was the same price, a similar price as my freaking New York strip steak. A bag of chips was like $6. A pound of ham's like 10. Like, what the hell? Normally I don't notice these things, but for some reason yesterday I was like looking at prices. It's like, man, this is because I'm thinking a bag of chips is like $2.50, right? Maybe I'm like aging. And I do most of the grocery shopping. Like I'm usually the one that goes grocery shopping. Because my wife works and I sell baseball cards. Yeah, I can go to the grocery store. But grocery store is an outdated term. It's called pick and save. It used to be called I can't remember what it used to be called. But pick and save. Grocery store. I'm just going to the grocery store. So yeah. But is that an outdated term? Does anybody else use grocery store? That's what I've always called it, the grocery store. Let's see. Brian says smart bidders don't bid until the last 3 to 6 seconds. And I hate that. And so sometimes that's what I think. And so I'm like, so I've got what happens with my auction. And again, I rarely run auctions and I'm not bid. So that happens on like higher end auctions. When I'm running auctions, it's crap. Just stuff that, okay, if it sells for 99 cents, I don't care. But if you're selling like a high-end card, that's what happens. But if you're selling junk, people bid on it. They're like, I'm going to bid on it. Like I have my price. I'm not waiting. I'm not a smart bidder. I'm just like, here's my price and I'm going to let it ride. And if I don't win it, if it's something I really want, then I will wait. Most of the time, I don't need anything. So, I just bid now. Like I bid on a couple things last night. Somebody's got Vine Line magazines up. I love Vine Line magazines. Whenever I'm shopping for them, though, it's like they're crazy high price. Well, to me, in my opinion, they're crazy high price because I don't see much value in them. But somebody had them like opening bid $7.20 or buy it now for $9.60. And I'm like, oh, I should just buy it now. I'm like, wait, nobody's going to bid on this. So guess what I did? I put my high bid as $9.50 and I'm going to let it ride. And if I don't win it, I don't care. I think they end tonight or tomorrow anyway. So when I have that as a seller of auctions, when I have that thought process, oh, people are going to wait till the final minute to put their bids in. But with the stuff I have at auction, that's not the case. So then I get excited in the final minute and I'm refreshing. And it sells for 99 cents. Son of a bitch. Would dealers rather sell bulk to other dealers or to attendees? Does it matter? Does not matter. In fact, I'm usually pushing my bulk to other dealers. Is there a preference? No. I'm more comfortable actively trying to sell to other dealers because I know, you kind of know, like, okay, this dealer doesn't do bulk, but the bulk dealers, who's going to buy, who's not going to buy. It's just more of a, okay, when I was actively pushing my bargain boxes several months ago, I knew exactly who to go to. Wasn't able to sell them, but I know who to go to. Almost had one pull the trigger, but didn't. But if a customer came up, if a non-dealer came up and said, hey, what do you want for a box? I'm more than happy to sell it. So the price isn't any different. I've got my price, and it doesn't matter if you're a dealer or just walking the floor a collector. So it doesn't matter. JG says, Beau's auction, time for some deals. Yes, please. Link is in the description to this video. John says, I got a $2,000 bag from my husband this week. I won. Only bought him a blaster. So that's an inside joke. There was a tweet yesterday that was later deleted by the person who tweeted it. My strategy, says Dan, for auctions is to search superstar names like Ohtani, Jeter, Griffey, and such, and then switch about 20 from buy it now to auction, ideally spread out throughout the month. Paige and Deanie Bean has my same thought. What are you doing with bolt cutters? Shane says it's definitely a grocery store. Good. It's not an old-timey thing. I can't remember where I heard. Somebody said the term grocery store was like old-timey. John says it's 8:50 a.m. and a Domino's pizza guy just drove by. What have we become? Who was I talking with? Where's Max? Is Max? I don't think Max is here. I think Max eats Chick-fil-A for breakfast. Where's Max? David says grocery store here in Western PA. Brian uses Gixon to bid all auctions. I put price I want to pay and forget about it until notified I won. Who? Dan, Korean Cardboard, always talks about Gixon. I haven't tried it. Maybe I should do that. Paul Heath, good morning. Brian M. gets it. I don't do auctions often, close to gambling. Where we at? So I just put my price in that I will pay and leave it unless it's saddlebags. Ace Hardware is considered a hardware store. WTF is Menards. Do you have Menards in Pennsylvania? Maybe it's just a Midwest thing. Save big money at Menards. More season's greetings to you all from Menards. That's a Christmas commercial from Menards. It's been running for like 35 years. And then there's the spokes guy at Menards. Menards is like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. You probably have those. I think those are definitely nationwide. Menards, maybe it's just a Midwest thing. Or Fleet Farm, and we also, a Midwest thing is like, I don't know if I don't even know what to. It's similar, but different. Like Farm and Fleet, I don't consider Farm and Fleet or Fleet Farm or Farm King or Rural King. I don't consider those like Menard. Those are, I don't know what to consider those because they've got like clothes. It's almost like Farm and Fleet is like Walmart for farmers because they've got the Wrangler jeans, they've got the old man button-down shirts that my dad always wore. It's got a pocket for your smokes. You know, they've got the New Balance shoes. It's like it's basically Walmart for dads. It smells like rubber tires because they got a big tire section. They've got tools. They do have a nice Christmas toy selection, and they keep it like they stock it like in the middle of the night. And then but they do it like a week before it opens. So it's got like tarps over it. This is Farm and Fleet. And then on Saturday, whatever, December 1st or whenever they open, they pull the tarps off and there you go. So yeah, Farm and Fleet. I can smell it. It's once you've gone there a few times, that like whenever you utter the words Farm and Fleet, you smell tires. New rubber is the smell. It's just stuck in your nostrils. But yeah, because they have a clothing section. But it's not like, it's like farmer clothes. It's like, oh, you can get your Oshkosh bagosh, your overalls, your work boots, your New Balance. When you go out to the Eaton place. Cooter started using Gixxon auction snipe software, saves tons of money and time, takes emotion out of last-minute bids, and avoids having your bid run up early. Menards is a big box store. Okay, Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, big box stores. I need to disassemble a box spring to make room for my new roommates. Oh, yes. Let's see. John says we don't share that with the general public, Cooter. Let's see. Don't pop the waterbed. No G word here. Whatever happened to waterbeds? Waterbeds were like, oh my God, like it was like a status symbol of the 80s. I remember my sister and brother-in-law were former, well, at that time, he's no longer my brother-in-law. They had like a freaking waterbed in every room. Like every kid had, all my nieces and nephews had waterbeds. They had the big giant TV. You know, the big screen back then in 1990 was like 50-inch, and it weighed 7,000 pounds. So my sister was like, big giant TV waterbed, like waterbeds, like the most uncomfortable. Like, who thought of that? Why was it a thing? I think by the late 80s, those were kind of like out of style by the late 80s, because that was more of a 70s thing, right? Should ask John that. That was more of a 70s thing, but into the 80s, they were still in vogue. Can you even buy, like, is there even a waterbed manufacturer? Waterbeds. Let's see. Shane says, I won some awesome cheap auctions last night. Bunch of hockey lots for 99 cents to $1.25 a piece. All have cards I can put up for $3 to $5 each, or $3 to $5 or $3 to $50. Auctions ending at midnight are the best. Cooter says, if you can't buy bulk fasteners by the pound, you are not at a real hardware store. I don't know what any of that means. Good morning, Terry. Henry's in the house. He says, I bought a 2021 Olympics blaster for $14 that normally lists $25. One completed auction for $1.25 plus 6 ship, $1.25 for a blaster, only 2023. Red Light says, did you sell your bulk over the weekend? Yeah. Oh, yes, I did. I did sell my bulk. So it's the third deal I've done with him. And so, yeah, Friday afternoon, dumped it off. He's like, do I get a volume discount since this is our third deal? I'm like, yeah, I can take $50 off. So I'm like, do you want another one? I said, I'm trying to, hopefully we're going to be moving in a month. Well, we're moving somewhere in a month. It just might not be the new house, but we are moving somewhere in a month. Might be into a motel. So I said, I'm going to try to put together one more batch before the move. And he's like, yep, let me know. I'm like, sweet. So he likes my bulk lots. And so yeah, hopefully I can get rid of another one. Henry has Buy Mart. No jokes. Buy Mart. I've never heard of that. One of my favorites, because I have an adolescent sense of humor, is Come and Go. That's like an Iowa thing. I remember being in like 5th grade or 6th grade. I had for vacation, like we didn't take, like our vacations were like old school, like what you guys did in the 60s and 70s, like road trips to Kansas City. That was my vacation. Our vacation was to Kansas City to go to a place called Chevy Duty. Chevy Duty's not a place for a 11-year-old kid that loves sports and doesn't like cars. Chevy Duty. My dad had to pick up. That's when he was rebuilding his 69 Chevy pickup. He needed some parts. Let's go to Chevy Duty. We could make it a vacation. All right. Thanks, Dad. So we're driving back through Iowa. We did like a circle. We drove from Anawan down. We did hit up some things for me as a kid. We stopped in Macomb for St. Louis Rams training camp. Did a day or two there. Then we went to Hannibal, Missouri, toured the Mark Twain caves. And then we drove across Missouri to Kansas City. We were going to go to a Royals game, but neither my parents are from, the kind of hillbillies and don't know how to drive in cities. I say that in the nicest way. My dad is very impatient, not a good navigator, won't drive in cities, which I've kind of, when my wife and I go to Chicago, I drive like the rural part, and then we switch in the suburbs and she drives in the city. Although I've driven in the city before, it's not bad. So my mom, and then my dad gets pissed. Oh, no. And it's just like, it's almost like caveman communication. And couldn't find Kauffman Stadium. So my mom just wanted to get the hell out of Kansas City, and we stayed at some probably Super 8, half an hour outside of Kansas City. And then away we went to Chevy. We found Chevy Duty, by God. Can't find Kauffman Stadium? No big deal. But we're going to find Chevy Duty. We found Chevy Duty. And then we went up north to Des Moines and over back into Illinois on I-80. Menard's the private company, and the owner is one of the wealthiest men in Wisconsin, John Menard. I met the Menards guy from the TV ads back in my radio days. I think he's passed on by now. Yeah, that's probably why they still air the old commercials. The old more seasoned greetings to you all from Menards. Menard's spokesperson. Ray Zamanda. Menards. Wow, he passed away 5 years ago. 2018 in Antigo. Lived a long life. He was 91. Holy moly. He was known throughout the Midwest as the spokesperson for Menards. He was a World War II vet, served in the Navy. Let's see. He worked for radio and television stations as staff announcer in the 50s, began to freelance. Oh, he opened a broadcasting school in Wausau. That's interesting. His career with Menards began all the way back in 1976. He was a fixture of the ads until his retirement, and he retired from Menards in 1998. That's pretty wild because it seems like his ads are still running. Interesting. He appeared in a 1970s science fiction movie, The Alpha Incident, and hosted the Wausau version of High Quiz Bowl. There you go. Ray Amanda. Menards. Big RS. Mills Fleet Farm is badass. There you go, Fleet Farm. Zach and Porter's out. He doesn't want to hear about Farm and Fleet. Where we at? I made a steak last night. We're gonna talk cooking with Beau today. Henry says, oh, like Coastal, Farm and Ranch. There you go. Alex uses an eBay sniper app. I'll set my price and it will bid with 5 seconds left. Best thing ever. Mike Summer loves Farm and Fleet. I spent way more than I would have liked during my childhood at Farm and Fleet. Let's see. Alex uses bolt cutters to cut cattle panel fencing. I don't know what any of that means either. Terry says, I have a Fleet Farm about 2 miles away. They have a great snack and trail mix selection. Yes, they do. And they have good condiments as well, like barbecue sauce. And I should go to, we have, I think, Farm and Fleet here. I think where is Farm and Fleet? Is it headquartered here? Farm and Fleet. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. It's headquartered in Janesville. I don't think we have Fleet Farm here. Maybe we do. Where are Fleet Farm locations? Fleet Farm. I know there's like a Rural King also. There's Farm King. That's headquartered in Macomb, Illinois. Fleet Farm. It's headquartered in Appleton. Main distribution center in Chippewa Falls. Does it have, I want to find if there's any, is there a way to find, I wonder if I go to fleetfarm.com. Wow, their website looks 20 years old. Store locator. So it looks like the closest to me is DeForest, which is like probably 40 minutes away. DeForest. There's not too many. Like, I think it must be Farm and Fleet must have a stranglehold on this territory because otherwise it's Cedar Rapids, Rochester, Minnesota. Then you got to go all the way up to Stevens Point, to Forest, Delavan. I think Delavan and DeForest probably the closest locations. Let's see. Henry says, Kmart ad. I just shipped my bed. John says, close to gambling auctions. WTF. I had a waterbed. Not a good idea. Yeah. Mike Summer used a waterbed until 2006. He was hanging tough. Mark says it probably led to my back problems. Oh, yeah. Back, yes. For someone who has compulsive personality, you can bud yourself into the poorhouse if you're trying to win a game of chance. 50. There was an auto of 10. Oh, nice. Bid. Stores aren't named after people on the East Coast anymore. An auction is no different than shopping around. Dan in the house. Zach says, for a normal person, yes, it is close to a raffle in a game of chance. It isn't a clean transaction, which could have the same pull as gambling. I have the gambling compulsion. I don't look at an auction as that at all. PPP, pallet. It's no different than a buy it now situation. Pay your max. That's how I treat it. On our trips to Minnesota, I can't pass a come and go without saying, thank you, come again, from Apu from The Simpsons. Nahasapina Petalon. Kauffman Stadium can be seen by the highway for those who don't know. That's what I thought. Maybe Dad just didn't want to go sit in a baseball game. Randy the Bargain Boxer in the house. How was the show this past weekend? It was good. It was better than I expected for a June show. Certainly down. January through April are the big months, and then May, June, July, August slow down, and then you start to kind of wind back up in September, October. It was better than I expected. Traffic was better than I expected, down from April and May, but still good for June. Grinding for good, Wally World. If you put a price down and leave it, that is cool. I will do that. However, if someone were to do the constant bidding, placing more bids, it could open up a problem. And I don't see that from an eBay standpoint, but in person, and I've talked about this, you get into a bidding war. If you're at an auction in person, it's totally gambling. It's totally a gamble because all of a sudden it sparks like the urge to win. And it almost becomes a competition, not for the item, but just to win. Like, I have to win this. I got caught in a bidding war at a live small town auction over a binder of football cards that I overpaid for because I was caught up in trying to win the auction. Cooter says not being able to find Kaufman at basically the interstate of the two largest Kansas City highways explains a lot. Lynn Haldren, better known as the Empire Guy, died in 2011. He was 89. Wow. And another voice actor. What is it with voice actors? Man, they live long lives. Johnny from Jeopardy is like 96 or something. And he's still like the voice. What was his name's Johnny something. And he's in his mid 90s. Dave says, do you list all common rookies and do they sell? No and no. It just kind of it kind of depends on which. Some will sell, some won't. Do I list them all? No. It's kind of a crapshoot. Tony says, I miss the days of your team as a kid being named after local businesses. Not really done anymore. As a kid, I played on teams like Emil's Food Town, Aloya Funeral Home, Garofalo Brothers, etc. We never did. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and we never had that in the 80s and 90s. I played on. We were named after, like in Little League, we were named after big league teams. So it was like the Cubs, White Sox. It was basically Midwest teams, or like I think the Yankees. Then we went to City League, which was like, I don't know what that would be. It's still kind of a little league. And that was colors. Like, it was like silver, white, maroon, and black. I think there was only 4 teams in the league because it was just a town league. And then travel ball, we were Anawan. So we never had now my nephew, who was my age, same age as me, 6 weeks apart. His birthday's a month away. Now he grew up in Kewanee in that same time period, and they had team name, like they were sponsored by, teams. So Grebner Motors and Goods Furniture. So those were like team names within their league. We were just silver, maroon, white, and black. And then Cubs, White Sox, Cardinals, Yankees. Let's see. Where are we at? Johnny Gilbert, thank you. Johnny Gilbert is in his 90s and still voicing Jeopardy. The owners of Farm and Fleet Farm were friends and agreed to stay out of the others' areas. Interesting. Well, that's a good, is it O'Reilly and AutoZone? They were like business partners or family members, and they are the opposite. They build stores across from each other. Let's see. Out of respect to Zach, I'm backing out of the saddlebag auction. Harlan, I'm going to buy 2 things from you. Would like to combine shipping. Mike Summer says, one of my Little League teams was Barb's Boys. I love it. She was a rich old lady in our small town. Barb's Boys. Good morning, AA Cards in the house. Brian Wolf is here. Good morning. Dan says, in Chicago in the 80s, we had sponsored teams on our backs, but we were named with MLB team names. I don't even think we had sponsors. We didn't have any come on. How come Anawan didn't have any salesmen? Get some sponsorships. Beau, they only use those colors for dance class costumes. Perhaps you're misremembering. John, when it comes to saddlebags, all bets are off, pun intended. Henry says, Bill Shonley of Blazers, announcing Fame and Standard TV and Appliance, just died at 93, was doing commercials until a few years ago. Man, voice actors. You want to live a long life, become a voice actor. Then MLB decided to start licensing their names. 6'9", Wolf Roofing, Little League VFW, Babe Ruth, Union Fire Company in the 70s in Morrisville, PA. Very cool. Yeah. I played on Silver and Cubs. I was so happy when I was on the Cubs. So I did some cooking yesterday. Like I said earlier, my wife always does burgers, but she makes like a meatloaf burger. So I don't like the burgers she makes because it's like she puts panko, she mixes the beef with panko and barbecue sauce and ketchup, and it's like it's freaking meatloaf. It's freaking meatloaf. But like we'll split the package of meat, and then I'll just make a regular burger. But she's been buying this organic stuff that it just doesn't taste good. She says it's because it's healthy. I don't think so. It's gross. So I went grocery shopping yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get her the organic beef that she wants, but I'm going to have, I wanted to do like rib tips or whatever, like not a rack of ribs, but I wanted to, like the saw, like just fall off the fork ribs. They didn't have any. I didn't feel like going to another grocery store. So I'm like, I'll just get a steak. So I got a boneless New York strip. So I'm like, I want to marinate it though. Because I used to love grilling. And over the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten out of it. I just like, we're going to do the grill. I'm just going to throw on burgers and every once in a while a steak. So, like I wanted, it was only like 3 or what kind of ribs fall off the fork? Like the boneless, the ribs that are, I don't know. They're like spare ribs, I think. And they're boneless. And then they just fall off the fork. They're freaking so good. Country ribs. There you go. Thank you, James. Country ribs. That's what I'm talking about. So I got this steak. And I'm like, I'm in line. For whatever reason, the grocery store is the pick and save. It's freaking crazy ass busy. So I'm in line. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to Google marinade. And I'm not like, nobody's shocked at this. I'm not like a chef. And I don't whip up these recipes on my own. I just Google it. Google's great. So I looked at a few and I'm like, I'm going to find one that I have like the ingredients. I'm already in line. I'm not going to jump out of line to go get Worcestershire sauce. I thought we had some Worcestershire. We didn't. So I found a recipe that had Worcestershire in it for the marinade, but I left that out. It still turned out fantastic. So here's what I did. And this is like a quick marinade. You don't have to do it overnight. I'm sure I probably had this marinade. I had it soaking in the marinade for an hour and a half, maybe. It turned out fantastic. So it's not like an overnight thing that it'll still turn out great. So what I did was a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and a 1/4 cup of balsamic, a 1/4 cup of balsamic, and a tablespoon of minced garlic. And then I sprinkled in just a pinch of salt and a little bit of black pepper. Whip that up. Put the steak. Oh, and then I tenderize. I have this thing. I don't know, what do you call it? It's like a meat tenderizer, but it's this thing that you like push it down and these like spikes go into the meat. So I do that with the meat, both sides, and then I throw it in a plastic bag, and then I pour my marinade in. And then I let it sit on the counter for about an hour and a half. And I would flip it over a couple times, throw it on the grill. I like it medium rare. Turned out a little more medium than medium rare. So I overcooked it just a little bit over what I typically like, but holy shit, it was freaking good. And I know people are in the chat saying, oh my God, why would you marinate a steak? You don't need to marinate a steak. Sometimes I like a marinade steak. Now, typically I don't. Typically and I topped it off at the end with black truffle butter. Some black truffle butter on the grill. Put that slab of butter on. So typically I don't do anything with the steak. I don't even put, Brian says it's a disgrace. He only does salt. I don't even do salt and pepper typically. Because you don't even need, like, a good steak. You don't need anything if you cook it right. But sometimes I want a marinade. Sometimes I want a little taste, a little more taste to it. So yesterday I wanted to do the marinade thing. Turned out awesome. Turned out great. Did baked potatoes, and I'm like, because usually I do, like, I just grab like a thing of potato salad or coleslaw, and that's what we do when we grill. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do something different. I don't want to grill veggies. So I saw these big old fat russet potatoes, and I'm like, I haven't had a good baked potato in a while. So I picked up a couple baked potatoes. I also Googled how to cook a good baked potato, how to bake a good baked potato. So then my wife, as I was preparing, I was cleaning the potatoes, and my wife says, so here's how we're going to make them. And I'm like, wait. I also Googled this. So let's compare notes. Before she shared her, let me share mine. So it said, pierce it with a fork, pierce it with a fork. Cover it in olive oil, and then generously sprinkle salt. Be generous with the salt. And then just put it on parchment paper. Don't wrap it in anything. Just right on the thing. 400 degrees for about an hour. My wife said that's basically what Ina says. My wife, she only follows Ina. The Barefoot Contessa. She's like, that's basically the same as Ina, but Ina says 350 for an hour. I'm like, okay, well, let's do Ina. So we did 350 for an hour. Turned out fantastic. So not only did I devour my steak and get meat sweats, I also ate my whole baked potato with sour cream and got starch sweats. So I was in a so I ate so much. The cleaners come today, so I had to do the pre-clean down here. I still have a lot of shit to pick up in the rec room. So after dinner, I went out, put the grill away, cleaned up, and I'm like, I ate so much. Like, if I hit the couch, I'm gonna wake up with indigestion. Here's the story of getting old. I'm gonna wake up with acid reflux and indigestion. So I came downstairs, picked up the rec room. No indigestion. I did wake up with the meat sweats, but no indigestion, no acid reflux this morning. Where are we at? Baby back ribs. There you go. Baby back ribs. My new roommate was in his early 80s when he learned that hamburgers weren't made out of ham. My quality of life is about to drive off a cliff. Boneless is no more a rib than Beau's wife's meatloaf burger. John says, off-topic question. When your barely friends on Facebook post pictures of them with their fathers and you can't tell who is older, do you feel worse for the kid or better for the dad? Good question. Steak the way you want a steak. Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought a dad and son were brothers. Hello, Wall J. What's up? Didn't Barefoot Contessa get in trouble for something a couple years ago? I don't know. Let's Google it. I don't think so. Barefoot Contessa. Let's see. Barefoot Contessa. Let's just Google Barefoot Contessa. I bet Wikipedia will have something on. There's got to be like no. Maybe her Ina Garten. Early life, career, Barefoot Contessa store, cookbooks, Food Network, pantry, publications, awards and honors, personal life. Doesn't look like it. I don't think so. Let's see. She rejected a kid's Make-A-Wish Foundation is all I can find. There was a Cooking Channel stars there's a Cooking Channel stars all hooking up story years ago. Oh yeah, Paula Dean got into some trouble. Barefoot Contessa is Ina Garten. Paula Dean was I think she's racist. What was her deal? Oh yeah, racial slur. Oh, there was a I Love Lucy controversy as well. Boy, Paula Dean's got some few controversies. Bobby Flay fooling around type stuff. There was someone on Food Network that got in trouble for some race. That was Paula Dean. Paula Dean. So there we go. Cooking with Beau. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. eBay store link is in the description. I've got some auctions ending tonight. Monday night auctions. So I think 17. Last I checked, 17 bids, which is just about what I thought would have bids on. Probably lose some money. Oh well. So hit my auctions up, bid, buy some other stuff. Where we at? What else? Hobby Evolution Facebook group. I think we're closing in on 300 members. So check that out. Type in Hobby Evolution on Facebook. Back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. Again, this weekend, I will not be on Hobby Evolution, Saturday or Sunday. I'll be down in Champaign, bachelor party weekend. So we'll go live Monday through Friday this week, 7 a.m. Central. Hobby Palooza is this weekend, though, so check that out on Bench Clear Media. So with that, I'm going to take off. Have a great Monday. And don't forget, it is Juneteenth. Post offices are closed today, so no mail today. So with that, have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.